In 1957, a young boy named Jason Voorhees attended a camp called Camp Crystal Lake. That summer, while the camp counselors were in the cabins making love, Jason was alone in the lake. The only problem was Jason couldn't swim. The young boy that drowned that day, hardly anyone had noticed or cared. Jason's mother, Paloma Voorhees, on the other hand, had a great deal. She tried to murder all the camp counselors in order to prevent the camp from ever opening again. However, Paloma met her end when she was decapitated by the last of the camp counselors. Everyone was safe again, until a few years later, Jason arose from the watery grave and began to murder anyone in the area he could. He has been stopped for the most part, but sometimes out of nowhere, the murders were just going to start happening again. In New Jersey, at Camp Crystal Lake, there were about 11 people outside near the cabins, sitting at a campfire, talking amongst each other, roasting hot dogs and marshmallows, and laughing. They were in their late teens, early 20s. They had been only checking the camp out, and they were to be the new camp counselors for the summer. One of the teens, Johnny, stood up. He is very tall, average height, with long, curled, dirty blonde hair, wearing a white plaited t-shirt over a Ramones t-shirt. Everyone stopped talking as he arose, a beer bottle in his hand, and began to speak. "All right, next week, we're going to be open for business," he said. All the camp others cheered, and some held their drinks in agreement. "No, but seriously, this camp's been closed and opened 5 times? Johnny continued. He and the others laughed. It was obvious that none of them believed in the stories. All because people believed in one guy? What's his name? Johnny asked. A girl named Heather, who was Johnny's girlfriend, spoke out. "Jason Voorhees," she said. "That's right, babe. Jason Voorhees," Johnny said, pointing toward Heather. "Did you know about this kid that drowned back in 57? Some of the counselors whisper stuff like, 'Oh, geez, dang.'" Johnny nodded his head. "Yeah," he said before taking a sip of his beer. "Yeah, poor little Jason died here, all because some of the counselors were paying no attention. And guess what? He came back to life." A few of the counselors giggled, while others just looked in curiosity. And every time he starts killing like every kid in the area, running around in a hockey mask and carrying a machete," Johnny continued. "So next week, when the kids get here, make sure to tell them that if they see him, they should come and see me." The counselors laughed again. A boy named Wayne stood up, looking angered. He was a rather large boy, tall, muscular, dark, short hair. "Shut up!" he shouted. Everyone stopped laughing and looked at him as if he was crazy. "You guys are all idiots, you know that?" he added. "Don't you understand? By talking about Jason, you're going to bring him back. That's how it always starts. The story gets out, and then all of a sudden, people get murdered." All the others looked at Wayne. Could he actually be thinking this Jason guy was for real? Wait a minute, Wayne. Aren't you saying you believe in that stupid legend?" Johnny asked. "It's not a legend, dog. All right, it's true," Wayne answered. A girl named Tawny began to speak out. "Well, you mean like you've seen him?" she asked. "Well, no, but I know he's out there," Wayne hesitated to say. "Yeah, along with Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny," Tawny mocked. The counselors laughed again, humiliating Wayne. Johnny then walked over and stood next to him. "Yeah, you know what? Maybe Wayne's right," he said. One of the counselors named Justin got up from his seat and slowly snuck up behind Wayne. "I think Jason's out there," Johnny said, making Wayne feel nervous. Johnny then looked behind Wayne's shoulder and started to make a scared face. "What is it?" Wayne asked, frightened. Johnny pointed a finger behind Wayne's shoulder. "Behind you!" he shouted. Suddenly, Justin snuck up from behind Wayne and grabbed him by the shoulder. Wayne jumped and turned around, just to see it was just Justin. While everyone else found it amusing and funny, Wayne was not impressed. Justin and Johnny high-fived each other like a couple of kids. "You're such jerks," Wayne said. "Come on, Wayne, learn to take a joke," Johnny said, laughing. "You'll be sorry," Wayne added. looking around at the other counselors. "You'll all be sorry." He walked away from the campfire and went over to his cabin. He gave everyone a final death look before walking in. Taking Wayne's statement lightly, Johnny turned back to the counselors and bowed. "And that, ladies and gentlemen, is called an overreaction," he said. The counselors then laughed again as Justin and Johnny went back to their seats. Johnny sat down next to Heather. "You know you're lucky he didn't kick your ass," she said. "The gentle giant? No way. The guy couldn't hurt anyone. He's too soft," Johnny posited. Heather then leaned closer to Johnny and stared at him. "What?" he asked. "Do you really think he behaves that Jason guy? Or believes in it?" Heather asked. "Nah, Wayne's just screwing with us. What if murders do start happening again?" "Don't worry, I'll be here to protect you." He leaned in and kissed her head softly on the lips. She smiled and made a silly giggle. "You're drunk," she said. "Yeah, a little bit." Johnny laughed slightly. "So when your supposed friend's getting here?" He said first thing in the morning. "If you're scared, they can make sure nothing weird happens." Johnny noticed Heather looking worried. She needed some reassurance. "Don't worry, Heather. They're just legends, remember? What could happen?" A few hours later, with everyone was in their cabins asleep, outside, a dark figure stood in the chilly night holding a machete. He walked over to one of the cabins and quietly opened the door and stepped inside. In bed, the two counselors were cuddled together as they slept. The dark figure slammed the door shut, waking the two counselors. "What the hell?" the boy said, alarmed. He turned over and flickered the lamp on. This girl screamed in terror as they saw the dirty, drenched-looking man, dark clothes, wearing a hockey mask, Jason Voorhees. As Jason stepped closer to the bed, the girl got up and ran past him and ran out of the room, while the boy just sat there, staring at the fear of the figure. Without any of them saying a word, Jason plunged the machete into the boy's stomach. The boy shrieked as Jason ripped the blade back out. The boy continued groaning in pain and tried to keep his guts from falling out. Before he fell off the bed, began bleeding to death. Jason looked around and headed back outside to find the girl. Somewhere in the woods, the girl ran farther and farther away until she couldn't run anymore. She started to hide behind a tree while panting heavily from running. She calmed herself a little and then looked around the place and taking deep breaths as she studied her surroundings. After a few seconds, her heart finally stopped pounding. She wanted to know if the coast was clear, so she turned around from behind the tree just to make sure no one was there. But suddenly she saw Jason running towards her. She screamed as Jason swung the machete like a baseball bat and cut her head off clean as the blade collided with the tree. Along the bumpy roads of New Jersey, the van that we all recognize, the Mystery Machine, drove near the forest parts of town. In the van, there was the gang: Fred Jones, Velma Dinkley, Daphne Blake, Shaggy Rogers, and Scooby-Doo. "Hey, we're almost there. Just a few more miles and it's Hello Camp Crystal Lake," Fred said as he drove. "I can't wait to get in the water," Daphne added. "Studying the plant life there will be amazing too. I'll give it some material to work on my novel," Velma asked. "What novel?" Daphne asked. "Oh, I just don't have all the details yet, but the main idea is a bunch of plants coming to life," Velma explained. "Why, that sounds interesting, Velma. But really, can't we, find a burger joint or something? Scoob and I are starved," Shaggy said. "Rah! Starve!" Scooby barked. The two of them were sitting in the back, as usual, playing Go Fish. "Starved? Didn't you guys just finish off those 2 blockbuster pizzas we picked up an hour ago?" Fred asked. "Yeah, I was saving the last piece for when we got to the lake, but what's gonna tie me over till then?" Shaggy chuckled. "Got any breeze?" Scooby asked Shaggy. "Go fish, pal," Shaggy replied. "Okay." Instead of picking up the card, Scooby had reached over for the pizza box and grabbed the last slice and shoved it in his mouth. "Hey, that was mine!" Shaggy moaned. Scooby laughed and so did the others. "Don't worry, Shaggy. There'll be plenty of other burgers and hot dogs at the camp," Velma said. "So what's the deal with this place? I've heard many weird stories, Daphne said. It's nothing to be worried about. There's just this dumb legend about a guy named Jason Voorhees comes back to life ever so often and murders all the camp counselors, Velma said. Shaggy and Scooby froze. Like what? Shaggy asked. Yeah, right, Scooby asked. Did you say murder? Shaggy gulped. You'll be fine, Shaggy. I went up there last week with my pal Johnny. We had the police do a search on everything. There is no Jason Voorhees. It's just a crazy ghost story, Fred reassured him. Well, okay, Shaggy sighed, calming down. Scooby sighed as well. Oh, we're here, Fred said. They stopped at the old, dirty, creepy-looking sign that read, Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake. Shaggy shuddered at the sight of the sign. Camp Crystal Lake? Like, what a welcome sign. It doesn't sure look welcoming, he said, shivering. Calm down, Shaggy. It's just a sign, Daphne said. Fred drove into the woods and followed along the road. The looks of the trees made Shaggy and Scooby feel uneasy. They sat there staring at the trees, shaking and hugging each other. This place looks pretty spooky, Velma said. As the car drove into the woods, it started to look darker and more sinister, as if the trees shared Scooby and Shaggy's fears of the place. Look, there are the cabins, Fred exclaimed, noticing the wooden houses. Fred also waved at the teenagers outside he saw barbecuing. The mystery machine made a right and then pulled next to the stop of one of the cabins. All the camp counselors were laughing and playing and just having a good time. Hey, maybe this wouldn't be so bad after all, Scoob, Shaggy said, calming down. Rah! Scooby smiled. Noticing that the gang had just arrived, Johnny walked up to the mystery machine as Fred rolled down his window. Hey, Freddy, what's it going, man? Johnny smiled, shaking Fred's hand. Hey, buddy, Fred said. The gang got out of the car and grabbed their luggage. Johnny, meet Daphne Blake, Velma Dinkley, Shaggy Rogers, and our dog, Scooby-Doo, Fred introduced. Nice to meet you guys, Johnny said. You too, Daphne smiled. So you're all guys ready for next week? Fred asked. Yeah, we sure are. We can expect about 20 kids around this time, Johnny said. Sounds like it's going to be a busy summer. Tell me about it, dude. It's the good thing. You said you help out. Oh, it's no problem, Daphne said. We haven't babysat in forever, Velma added. All right, you guys want to show me to you your cabins? Johnny asked. Sure, thanks, Fred replied. Great, first let me introduce you to the other guys, Johnny said. As they walked around, they saw two guys arm wrestling with one of the tables. Guys, this is Justin and Tom, Johnny said. Justin was a semi-muscular guy with short red curly hair. Tom was a muscular, dirty blonde guy with glasses. How's it going? Justin said, taking his concentration off the arm wrestling. Tom took this opportunity and slammed Justin's arm down, knocking over a drink that was next to them. Dude, you cheated, Justin complained. Hey, you snooze, you lose, Tom snarked. Fred and Daphne, you'll be sharing a cabin with these guys, Johnny said. Fabulous, Daphne said sarcastically. As they move along, they notice another table with a big guy from last night keeping to himself. He looked upset and annoyed, obviously still mad about what had happened the previous evening. Like, what's his deal? Shaggy asked. Oh, Wayne? I don't know. He's a little lost upstairs, Johnny said, pointing to his head. Don't bother talking to him. The two other girls soaking wet and in their bathing suits laughed as they ran up to the camp. Hey, Johnny, your friends are here? One of the girls asked, panting. Yeah, you guys, this is Tawny and Ellen, Johnny said. Hi, Tawny smiled. She had dark brown hair and bright blue eyes, with Ellen had plain brown hair with a nice body and hazel eyes. It's nice to meet you, Velma said. Have you guys seen Clark anywhere? Johnny asked the girls. Yeah, he was over in the batting cages the last time I saw him, Ellen answered. Hey, do you girls want to play some volleyball later? Tawny asked Velma and Daphne. Yeah, sure, Daphne smiled. Velma, do you mind sharing a room with Tawny and Ellen? Johnny asked. No, not at all. It sounds like fun, Velma answered. Like, what about me and Scoob? Shaggy asked. Oh yeah, that's right. You know something. You were supposed to share a cabin with Ed and Sam, Johnny said. What happened? Fred asked. No idea. This morning I went to check on them, and they were nowhere to be found. Do you think they left? Daphne asked. Well, it looks that way, Johnny said. But why would they want to leave? Velma asked. I bet it's because of Wayne. He made a big fuss over Jason Voorhees last night. I guess they believed him. So it looks like Shaggy and Scooby get their own cabins, Johnny said. We're okay with that, eh, Scoob? Shaggy asked. Rah! Scooby barked. All of a sudden, an aroma of food caught Shaggy's eyes. Something sure smells good, Johnny, he said. Scooby sniffed the air too. Rah! He said. Oh yeah, Jane's over there barbecuing. Help yourselves if you want, Johnny said. Like you don't have to tell me twice, Shaggy said. They all walked over to the grill where they saw the two girls cooking. One of the girls was Heather. Johnny walked over and gave her a hug from behind. Hey, you, he said. Hey, she smiled, turning her head, giving him a small kiss. What you cooking? Johnny asked. Hamburgers, hot dogs, ribs, steak, you name it, Heather said. All the talk about food was making Shaggy and Scooby's mouths water. How's it coming, Janie? Heather asked. Great, Janie said. When she turned around, Shaggy was mesmerized. She was beautiful. She had nice brown hair with a hint of red in it, stunning green eyes, and a wonderful body. Why, hi, Shaggy said, his ears going all droopy. Hi, I'm Janie, she smiled, holding out her hand. Shaggy, he said, shaking her hand, and this is my pal, Scooby-Doo. Hello, baby, Scooby-Doo said in an tempting voice. Janie giggled. Oh my God, he is just the cutest thing ever, she said, petting the dog. Rah! Yeah, Scooby smiled. Yeah, Shaggy agreed, still staring at her. Johnny and the gang started to notice this. Are you alright, dude? Johnny asked. What? Yeah, I'm good, Shaggy said, snapping out of it. So, you want me to show you all around the camp? Johnny asked. Yeah, that would be great, Fred said. Want to go, Shag? No thanks. Scoob and I will stay here and talk with Janie, Shaggy answered. All right, we'll be back within a half an hour, Velma said. No problem, Shaggy said, never taking his eyes off of Janie. As they walked away with Fred, Heather, and Johnny, Velma and Daphne shared a laugh at Shaggy's expense. You guys ready for the summer? Janie asked Shaggy. Like, yeah, we can't wait for all the things to get started. Right, Scoob? He answered. Rap? Can't wait, Scooby agreed. Long drive down here, huh? Janie asked. Not too long. Just about 5 hours, Shaggy said. Wow, you boys must be hungry. Starving, actually. Do you mind if we... Oh, no, not at all. Dig in. Cool, man. And with that, Shaggy and Scooby grabbed some plates and piled everything from ribs to burgers to corn on the cob onto them. In the woods, Fred, Daphne, and Velma walked with Johnny and Heather as they showed them around. You know something beautiful about these woods, and at the same time, absolutely creepy, Daphne said. Yeah, with lots of people get that vibe, Johnny said. I assume it's because many murders took place here, Velma said. Hey guys, this is about as far as the kids should be able to go, so let them know what they want to do if they ever come here, Johnny said. No problem, Fred said. Hey Johnny, I was wondering if you knew any exotic plant life here that may be in the woods, Velma said. Not really. Plants all look the same to me, Johnny added. Maybe I'll find some new specimen on my own. Yeah, you never know. Velma looked around the trees and the plants until she noticed something particularly interesting. She walked over to a certain tree. She saw a relatively deep slice across from it, as if it had been struck by a sword. Below the cut, there was a red, dark mark there. It almost looked like a bloodstain. Jinkies, she said softly. What's wrong, Velma? Fred asked, walking over. Take a look at this, Fred, Velma said. What is it? It almost looks like blood. Blood? Johnny asked, as he and Heather and Daphne walked over. Whoa, what happened here? Heather asked. Oh, I don't know, Velma said. Do you really think it could be blood, Velma? Fred asked. I'm not sure. If I had a lab, I could analyze this to be sure, Velma answered. Come on, it's not blood. I mean, why would it be? Johnny said. I don't know. I mean to say that Ed and Sam disappeared? They just did that because they couldn't handle what Wayne was talking about. Do you really think something happened to them and they just took off? Johnny's right. Let's not worry about that. We're here to have fun, not to solve a mystery, Daphne suggested. Yeah, I guess you're right, Fred said. Maybe it's just part of the tree rotting, Velma guessed. Come on, let's head back, Johnny said. As they all turned to go, Velma gave the tree one final glance before heading off with the others.